It's already built in San Diego. They built it other places. They built it in San Diego, violent crime dropped by 54%. Our congressional representative, our border hawk, defunded our fence. We have no fence because of Gabrielle Giffords. And she opposes SB 1070 openly. Says she would not have voted for it. So we can't have a fence and we can't even check for ID. We have nothing. Build a double-layer fence, give the Border Patrol the resources they need. They need helicopters, they need helicopter pilots, and they want to be on the border, and also enforce our current employer sanctions. We don't even need new immigration laws. We need to enforce the ones we currently have, and we'll be fine. We can solve this problem. The biggest garbage we hear out of Washington, out of any party right now, is that we can't solve the problem, it's too complicated. That's garbage. Of course we can. Of course we can. And stop these federal benefits for illegal immigrants. That we have to cut off this welfare state thing. Man.
I apologize for coming in late.
No way.
This told me 10 o'clock.
It's a... Who
Well,
did?
the newspaper said 9:30 to 10:30.
Oh, okay, and then you're, but anyway, I have a twofold question, a comment and then a question. The comment is, I heard on a Sunday talk show, the reason why they do not want to curtail the illegal immigration is because Medicare and Social Security are literally unsustainable, and the average age of an illegal is 30, and they need these young bodies to pay into the system. That's my comment. My question is, if we truly have a representative form of government, what are these people doing, voting themselves continual pay raises when Social Security representatives or recipients are on tied to the cost of living, and since there's no cost of living, what are they basing their salary increase on, and what do you plan to do about it, if anything?
They base it on whatever they want.
Yeah, this
And
is not representative.
No, it's not. It doesn't represent any of us. And what we need to do, we need to base it on, pick a number. Pick it on basing it on unemployment. Pick it on GDP growth. If you want a congressional pay increase, you better base it on how the American people are doing. If there's inflation, you need a cost of living increase, what it may be, base it on how the American people are doing. It is despicable that you would vote yourself a pay increase when there's 16, 17% real unemployment and Americans are hurting right now. It is despicable. It really is. We had, my wife and I, we live out in Continental Ranch, and it was a Pulte home when it was built, and our head guy, the head guy for Pulte in the area, when we first moved in, this is 06, right before the bubble burst, so I won't get into that. We're never leaving that. He delivered me a Domino's pizza the other night.
Ooh.
I opened up the door, he delivered me a pizza, that's a true story. And they're voting themselves a pay increase. You know, it's these little things that really indicate how little they think of us. Obviously, we're more concerned in the long run with the trillions they're spending over their $5,000 pay increase, but it indicates how they think about us. You know that Gabrielle Giffords, 4 or 5 day trip, 5-star accommodations, first class travel, brought her husband to Copenhagen. And when asked to reimburse the taxpayer, she wrote a check for just over $400.
What was that for?
That was the reimbursement for her husband's 5-star travel. $400.
Jeez.
I got to get that travel agent. And then that just shows, it's things like that that show how little they think of it, how much we are disrespected by our representative government. They represent us, we're in charge. What have we, and I feel embarrassed because we've sent that there. Obviously I didn't vote for Giffords, most of you probably didn't either, but I didn't do near enough to make sure she was not elected. And I'll never be on the wrong end of that again. I'm gonna send her home with pleasure in November. With pleasure. I am tired of that kind of government. They don't represent us, and it's our job to make sure they do. It's on us.
Do you believe they need 40 or 50 people to go on a fact-finding mission, and if not, what would your proposal be?
Well, you're talking about the Copenhagen trip?
Yeah.
Look, if you want to take a fact-finding mission to Copenhagen, obviously I'm not a big fan of man-made global warming, I don't believe in it. If you want to take that trip, fine. Maybe you can excuse that. If you want to take your husband, fine. Then reimburse us for his travel. Don't tell us that $400 is a reimbursement for his travel.
So you think 40 or 50 people?
No, I don't think they should have. I don't think they should have gone. I think it's an embarrassment. And I didn't like it that some Republicans went either. I don't think that should have happened at all. But it was how much they really grinded in afterwards that really bothered me. It's hard to come out and indict these fact-finding trips because I'm sure there are fact-finding trips that are genuine, and I'll find out when I get to the ones that are and the ones that aren't. In my mind, sending 40, 50 people to Copenhagen for a man-made global warming summit where they got snowed on for the first time in 14 years, I thought was fantastic, is terrible, but
What's your position on earmarks?
they're terrible. They're legalized bribery. And it is again an indictment on where we've come, what we've let our government become, that you can openly bribe senators with taxpayer money to pass a health care bill that the American people don't want. That you and I built Jack Murtha Airport in Pennsylvania. Come on.
For the one plane that lands
That's
there
right.
every day?
That's right. Is it the overall economic impact? They use these stats, it's 2% of the budget. Yes, that's true. But it's legalized bribery with our money. Stop. Stop wasting our money. And like you said, there's no money left. We can't buy a box of Kleenex right now. We'll borrow money to buy toilet paper for the government. And yet they continue to spend.
What's your position on drilling in the Gulf of Mexico?
Do it. Do it. The best way off of foreign oil is domestic oil. Drill for it. We have a wealth of resources here. We have oil, coal, natural gas, nuclear. The technology's already there with nuclear. These nuclear experts say we could be powered, 40% of our power could come from nuclear power, on top of all the other vast resources we have. And instead, we choke the life out of industry in this country. We block oil in the Gulf and then send $2 billion to Brazil so they can drill for oil. Only in Washington would that make sense. Don't drill for oil anymore in the Gulf, but we'll send taxpayer money to Brazil to drill for it. It's unbelievable.
I was under the impression the reason they sent it was so that they would not do anything to the rainforest, and it was a preventative that Brazil was saying, hey, you pay us, and it was worldwide. Is that not correct?
We lost 28,000 jobs when they stopped drilling in the Gulf.
No, I'm not referring to the Gulf. I'm referring to Brazil. The
Mhm.
money we sent was not to help them drill, but to have them stop drilling so that the rainforest would.
Well, my understanding of it was so they could drill. It was for their deep water drilling. And it
Okay.
was deep water drilling. I think it was 5,000 feet, if memory serves me. Sir?
Democrat presidents have put most of the West off limits
Yes, sir.
to doing anything. Can you undo that? Can the Republicans undo so we can get the oil and the shale and the coal?
Sure. Oh, of course. Of course. It's all in who you have in government right now.
Could we get out of debt if we did that?
Yes, that's something we don't talk about enough. Let's talk about the debt. You know, we're $14 trillion in debt. That's probably being kind for where we really are when it comes to all the unfunded liabilities. So let's call it 14 trillion. How do we get out of that debt? That's one of the major choices we're about to make in November and going forward. There is the liberal point of view, and that to get out of that debt, we're going to take every person, every business, everything we have, and squeeze the juice out of them like it's an orange, and take them for all they're worth. And then if you don't, hey, you don't stand for getting out of debt. That is that point of view. Tax them to death. We've spent it into bankruptcy. Now tax the people. There's the other point of view that says the only way we can get out, and this is where I stand firmly, is we need robust economic growth, business expansion in this country. We need to welcome businesses not only that are here to expand, but to come back from all over the world. We have a global economy right now. You do not have to do business in the United States of America if we punish you for doing so. We complain all the time, well, I won't say we do, but we tax and regulate and tax and regulate, and then when they chase business to China, they say they're sending jobs overseas. We chase them overseas. Businesses are fleeing the once free United States where they would come.
Can you undo it?
Yes, you can undo it, but you have to win elections. Yes, you do. You can get out of the way of business in this country. And the good news is, it's not all bluster when I say we can get out of it. We still have the largest economy in the world by far. We're still 3 times larger than China. We still have the best educated workforce out there, the most capable workforce. We have all the things in place, all the necessary infrastructure and people in place to become wealthy again and become wealthy quickly. But to get out of this debt, when you hear these things, 2% increase in GDP, 3% increase in GDP, that's the gross domestic product, we need 10%. We do, and we need it for a few decades to get out of this debt. You need 20, 30 years of 10% GDP growth to get out of this. And we have to change directions quickly. If we think